Thanks, mate.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I presume the TV's working?
Okay, let's go back to. Excuse me. Thank you, everyone. Let's go back to strategic planning on page 15 of the agenda. Project 192, strategy and planning. And can I hand that over to Mr. Drury, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is a request here for $77,000 to be carried forward, and my understanding is that it covers two areas. The major one is the biodiversity strategy development, and there's a little bit more work done required on a plan change for natural hazard. My understanding here is that this work has dropped behind because of the policy section's involvement in the Tukituk plan change 5 and 6. So it's no surprise that the work has dropped back. They intend to pick it up next year, along with their normal workload in that year, and they require that 77 to be carried forward so as they can pick that work up.
Thank you. Any specific questions around that?
Definitely required to be carried forward. Can't be funded from this year's budget.
It's a one-off.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a one-off.
Budget provision.
It's just for a particular plan, isn't it? It's
Yep.
for the biodiversity strategy development. Once it's done, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the biodiversity bill.
Other questions? No? You wish to move? We have a seconder for that? Yeah, we second that. Councillor Douglas. I'll put that motion in. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Huatoki Regional Resources, Project 303, 80,000 to be carried forward. Someone happy to talk to that? Mr. Ady, please.
Just get this organised, right? As it says here, we've progressed this project with substantial support from the Sustainable Farming Fund. The money that we're asking to carry forward is to enable us to complete that project. If that money is not carried forward, it's not available for council. We've got to pay it back to the Sustainable Farming Fund. So we are keen to wrap this project up and make sure that the information that has been learnt through it is pulled together and properly disseminated, and really that's what we need to do.
So would we, question, would we just have to pay this 80,000 back, or would we have to pay the whole lot back?
Just this 80,000 is my understanding, yeah.
Okay. Questions? Councillor Scott?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to know who have we lost from this program, and are we actually going to pack it up within the next financial year with the appropriate staff to deliver on it? When do we get the results from it if we do pick it up and run with it? Because it's got implications for the wider land management, I believe. And I sort of am concerned that it's still 80,000 of our bottom line as well as the MPI money. So I think it's about time we had some more information on this project and its value to the land management program in general.
Yep, fair comment on that. Yeah, the one of the land management team from Central Hawke's Bay, Angela Reid, left during the year, and it took some time to get a replacement. We now have a replacement on board, and this is part of their responsibility. So basically it could or would have been completed through last year had we had the resources focused on it. We haven't.
Further questions?
Didn't answer the rest of my question. That is, are we actually going to get
it out into the farming community? So certainly it is a priority, and I would expect it to be back out with field days sort of during the summer of 2013-14.
Could we ask that we are all kept up to speed? In fact, a timetable of how this will progress would be useful. let alone the information. So.
Yep. I will ask that to be included in the presentation on the land management operational plan that you receive on Wednesday.
You happy to move a seconder, Councillor Scott? Anyone wish to speak?
It's an important program, Mr. Chairman, and I do want it to proceed and be completed. So happy to move the carry forward.
The speakers. Do you wish to speak?
Say something. I think it's an exciting program too, and I've been extremely disappointed it's gone as dead as a dodo over the last year. And it is something I think that was groundbreaking research, and it's time we actually saw it into fruition.
Thank you. Other speakers? Put that motion, then all those in favour please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Right. Item 6, Project 310, Regional Groundwater Research. Mr. Maxwell.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So this request is to carry forward a sum of money to basically develop the surface groundwater model for the Hiratonga aquifer system to support the tank policy development process. There has been a reasonable amount of work occur over the summer in terms of data collection to inform the model development. This money is for the actual model building, if you like, so the software, the specialist groundwater technical people to physically build the model in the modelling environment, the software environment. So we've collected a large chunk of data, have been for a number of years, but this summer a lot more effort has gone into the data collection, so we've got a large amount of data to support the model. We now need to physically build the model architecture in terms of the software. That hasn't been able to happen in this current financial year as planned because the modelling capability within the council has been heavily committed into the Tuki policy development process. The groundwater model for the Tuki ended up being an integral part of both the water quality and quantity investigations and subsequent policy development. So rather than begin a half-baked process, if you like, in the tank in the Hiratonga area, we've focused on getting the Tuki process completed thoroughly, collected data in preparation for the Hiratonga, and we're now ready to go. So the planning is in place. The model structure, if you like, has been conceptually built with a team of people, including GNS and NIWA staff. We now need to embark on actually building it.
Okay. Any questions? You happy to move? Question?
This is some work that's been going on practically ever since I've been on council, and I think again if we could have an update to the NS committee on just where we are with some of this, because years ago we were told we were almost there when Tom Brooks was here, so clearly there's a disconnect somewhere between what we've been doing and where we're going. However, I would like some clarity around the 220,000 K, whether that is inclusive or exclusive of the carry forward of their Section 36, and if we've already collected this money, do we need to collect it again next year, or should we actually be saying that those Section 36 charges have already been charged and not yet used, and we shouldn't be charging more in this coming year? So I'd really like some clarity around where we stand with those Section 36 charges and also our communication to the people who are paying them.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, the good question. The Section 36 income, 35% of that 220,000 is funded from Section 36. If it's not spent this year in the current financial year, then there won't be any Section 36 income in the current financial year. There won't be any payments made by the consent holders because the work's not done. When this 220,000 is carried to the next year, that 77,000 will be collected in that year, the 13-14 year. So there's a net carry forward here of 220,000 less the, as far as a net expenditure, 220,000 less the 77 recovered. So the effect on the general funded bottom line of council is the difference between the 220 and the 77, and that 70 should be 77, not 70. So if we could have a modest change there, Mr. Chairman, that would be appreciated.
Mr. Chair, sorry. Well, I could respond in terms of the communication elements of it. So our In the Zone newsletter that we produce quarterly, the last In the Zone newsletter had an update on the science program for Hiratonga and certainly an update on the Section 36 charging. I do absolutely acknowledge that this has been somewhat of a festering sore and has sat around for a long period of time. I was staggered when I started here that this had sat on the books for as long as it has. I guess I can't give you any more to that than to give you my assurance and Neil Hudson, the new science manager's assurance that we both share your concerns and we have physically structured a program that is immovable. We have NIWA and their Waterscapes program committed into the region. We have all the right people lined up. We're in fact at the moment deliberating which modelling platform, which software to invest in. So there has been some big steps made and certainly happy to reinforce that in an update to the ENS committee at some stage.
Oh, yeah, I do. Just to give ourselves a reminder of reality, we only have a limited number of groundwater modellers that we can apply to any one task at any one time. So I think you're a bit harsh there, frankly. I'm going to say this, and that is that there's not a lot of this capacity in New Zealand, full stop. And we're better off to get one job done and move to another job, so we do it properly. And I think that's what's going on here.
Thank you.
Need some clarification from Mr. Jury about the Section 36 charges. So, do I understand from what you're telling me that this coming round of invoices, which are due to go out in July, will be $70,000 less to the consent holders?
Absolutely, 77,000 less.
Yes. So will that be? Is that going to be communicated to them? Because we had an awful lot of hassle last year with these Section 36 charges, and I got a real caning for them. Is that going to be communicated in Mr. Maxwell's newsletter, that's quarterly newsletter, or has it already been communicated?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that level of detail hasn't been communicated with them to consent holders. What we've been doing is reinforcing the value of the work to them, and in particular that as a commercial proposition the value for us to do it is significantly less than them individually having to undertake this work. But we certainly don't go into this level of financial detail in terms of how we communicate with them.
In operations, Mr. Chairman, but I do think that's an important message that I'd like to see communicated to our consent holders.
So, any other questions?
Just related to that, and on to the next topic, which you may as well tie up at the same time. Does that mean also that if you carry forward those Section 36 charges, that they will not need to be charged again in the coming year? That overall those people can expect to see a decrease in their Section 36 charges?
This is the next one, Project 312 you're talking about?
Well, the same principle applies.
Same principle discussion, okay.
Yeah, well, my understanding, Councillor, if we're on the same wavelength here, 12-13, the current financial year, Section 36 charges will be 77,000 less than we anticipated they would be. The 13-14 year, if this carried forward of 220 goes forward, then Section 36 charges will be 77,000 greater than is in the draft plan. Because the charges follow the work. When the work's done, the charges happen.
It's in arrears.
Yes, but I'm not sure if we're in arrears. Are we going to complete all last year's arrears of work plus the planned this year's? Are we going to have a greater stream of program running this year, given that we couldn't do it last year?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Jury's right that the work that is completed is what's charged for. So, if it's not completed this year and it carried forward, it will go into next year's billing.